You've been there. You build a prompt that works perfectly in English. The logic is flawless. But when you translate it to Spanish for a user, the model's output is suddenly worse. Or worse, you deploy an app and your API bill for non-English users is 5 times higher than you projected. You think it's a bug in your code, but it's not. You're fighting the single biggest constraint in AI today. It's library. In this video, the first in our Anatomy of a Foundation Model series, we're going to uncover why your AI is only as smart and as cheap as the data it was trained on. And I'll show you exactly how to prove it with a single line of code. To understand this problem, you have to stop thinking of a foundation model as a pure logical brain. Instead, think of it as a student who has only ever been allowed to read from one massive, chaotic library. That library is the internet, and the internet, as it turns out, is not a balanced representation of the world. An AI model is only as good as the data it was trained on. So what happens when that data is massively skewed? You get a model that has a PhD in English literature, but can barely pass a high school Spanish test. Let's look at the source. So what is this library? For many foundational models like GPT-3 and Google's Gemini, a primary source is a dataset called Common Crawl. It's a non-profit effort to scrape billions of web pages. But billions of web pages sounds a lot cleaner than it is. Think about the internet. It's full of clickbait, misinformation, forums, propaganda, and just plain weird stuff. The book points out that to clean this up, model makers use filters like OpenAI only using Reddit links with at least 3 upvotes for GPT-2. But that's a low bar. The result is that the common in Common Crawl really means a common in English speaking parts of the web. This isn't a conspiracy. It's a reflection of how the web was built and who has historically dominated it. So just how unbalanced is the AI's library? Let's go straight to the source and look at the official numbers from Common Crawl's mid-2025 data. English makes up a massive 44.6% of the content. To put that in perspective, the next most common languages like Chinese, Russian, and German are all hovering around just 5 to 6% each. The web is not the world. It is a heavily skewed reflection of it. This is underrepresentation, and it is the root cause of our performance problems. This data imbalance creates a critical secondary issue: inefficient tokenization. Models do not see words, they see tokens, which are common chunks of text. Because a model has seen English millions of times, it has very efficient tokens for it. Apple might be one token, but for a language it has barely seen, it has to break words down into tiny, inefficient pieces, sometimes down to individual letters, and since you pay per token, you see exactly where this is going. If you have not seen my earlier video on what tokens are and how they work, check it out first. Alright, enough theory. Let's prove it with code. We're going to use OpenAI's tick token library, which is the same tokenizer used by models like GPT-4. It's a simple tool that lets us see exactly how a string of text gets converted into tokens. I've got a simple Python script here. We have one simple sentence. My favorite color is the color of a still lake on a spring morning. First, let's run it for English. Okay, you see that? 15 tokens, super efficient. Now Spanish, 21 tokens. That's a 40% increase in cost for the exact same meaning. Not terrible, but it definitely adds up over millions of API calls. But now for the real shock, let's look at a truly underrepresented language, Telugu. That's more than 7.5 times the number of tokens and 7.5 times the cost as English. This isn't theory. This is the data dilemma live in our terminal. So what does this mean for you, the developer? First, it means that when you are designing an application for a global audience, you cannot assume that performance will be consistent across languages. Your prompt engineering and your cost models must account for this token inefficiency. Second, it explains why you might see hallucinations or lower quality outputs in some languages. The model has less data to draw from, making it less certain and more likely to produce strange results. It's not magic, it is statistics. This is why a domain-specific model trained on a curated dataset can often outperform a massive general-purpose model on a specific task. They have a smaller but better library. This also explains the current global race in AI. The recent wave of high-performance models from China, like Huyen, are not just copies of Western models. They are trained on different, massive, non-English datasets, which could give them a huge competitive advantage on certain tasks. The big challenge for the entire field is the data exhaustion problem. We are running out of high-quality human text to train on. This is driving a massive push towards synthetic data, which is a whole other can of worms we will cover later in this series. What you have learned today is the absolute bedrock of understanding why models behave the way they do. So now you understand the first, most critical pillar of a foundation model, it's data. But that is just the input. What about the machine that processes it? In the next video, we will dive into the transformer architecture and the scale game, why bigger is not always better, and how new techniques like mixture of experts are changing everything. If you want to understand how a 120 billion parameter model can run on a single GPU, you cannot miss it. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss part 2. And for your mission this week, use the code from this video and test a sentence in a language you speak or are curious about. Share your results, the language and the token count in the comments below. Let's build our own data set right here.